worst thing that you can do from a developing standpoint is to not do nothing, to just sit around and wait for ideas to come for you, or to look at, say, I want to start this business, or I don't know, actually, I think I want to start this business, or wait, no, it's not the right time. I'm kind of busy right now. I'm starting a month, and I'm gonna think then, and the time goes, right? The worst thing that you can do is not do anything. It's just, oh, the thing is, I want to start this business. I don't want to start an agency, say, right? Say, I don't want to start an agency because, it's kind of a scammy business model, and I don't really like Imangazi, that whole thing is kind of fucked up. Or like, trading seems kind of interesting, but like, we got scammers, and does it even work? I feel like it doesn't work, Like, here's the thing. With every model, you will always find something that doesn't work. With anything in life, that is. There will always be limitations. There is no perfect thing, right? You cannot sit around and think that one day, somebody, you just do nothing. You just go to the gym or whatever you do. You just live normally, maybe have a normal job, whatever. Just you don't actually do things that are like conducive, that will conduce, or I don't know how to say it, but like that will lead to your long-term growth. That you only do things that are like maybe good for you, but like they're good for you right now. Like I would consider the gym like that for the most part, like if you already have built a decent physique, it's pretty much just a maintained thing, right? There are a lot of things that you need to maintain, it's like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth and you're like, oh, I've been productive today because I brushed my teeth. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing when you just wait around. Because if you're not improving, then you're getting worse, So you cannot just sit around waiting for a business idea for an idea to hit your head and, okay, then I'm gonna execute. Yes, sometimes that happens, but what is the point of doing that? What is the point of having a free schedule or having, a bunch of hours in the day and you just use those hours to like do nothing, you just fuck around, you scroll on the internet or you watch YouTube videos or you do nothing, What is the point of having that just because you don't have an idea yet? Let me tell you one thing. Even if the idea is not the best, you should still do it. You should still do it because you will learn from it. You will learn from whatever you do. And guess what? You might find out that this actually matches you. This actually, oh, wait, actually, I kind of like, having an agency. You might be that kind of person. You might be like, yo, actually, I'm not that bad at trading. Actually, I kind of see the vision with trading, or it naturally goes into something else. You start trading, but then naturally you get into prop firms and then you want to start your own prop firm. I don't know, So just starting something is way better than waiting around, even if that thing you consider to be like kind of scammy, kind of bullshitty, kind of top 10 side hustles to start. People shit on these type of YouTubers that are like, oh, top 10 side hustles for students to make 10K a month, top 10 side hustles to make 1K a day, I don't know how 1K a day is a side hustle, but I mean, whatever. You get a lot of people like that, right? And people shit on them a lot. Everybody used to be like, a couple of years back, back in like 2020 when, the whole Imangazi wave I don't know if it was like 2020, maybe 2021, a couple of years ago. People were really into this type of stuff, right? And then suddenly people turned the complete opposite direction and went like, oh, this sucks, this whatever. I'm gonna tell you one thing. I don't like him on Gods either. I think he's broke right now. I'm not sure. But I didn't like him either. But guess what? Because of him, I started video editing. And because I started video editing, I made some money from it. But more importantly, I learned how to make business with people. I learned how to outreach. I learned how to market myself. I learned how to, talk to clients, right? Deal with bad clients, all of that, right? But nowadays, a lot of people are like, oh, don't even bother. Don't even look at these type of people that are like top 10 side hustle. Don't even bother starting because it's bullshit, it's not gonna work. I mean, did my video editing thing long term not work? I mean, technically, yes. Now, I still have some skills that I did learn that I will always use, and obviously editing too, because I still edit, I still edit stuff. But yes, technically long term it didn't work, but it didn't work because I stopped it, because I realized that editing is not for me. It's a zero-sum game. It was never really that good to begin with, but that I found that out later. The problem is that people don't start anything because it's like, oh, oh, this is bad, this is that, like it's so easy to start something. Like if you're not working on something right now, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You could be like, oh, I got no ideas. You got no ideas. Search up on YouTube top 10 side hustles. I'm not even kidding. Top 10 business models, whatever. Are these YouTubers like kind of scammy? Yes, they are. They're, and they've probably never even tried these business models to begin with, let's be honest. And they're probably just selling a dumbass course. But you don't have to look at that. You gotta look at the actual thing they're presenting, which for most part is probably just a AI transcript, AI script, right? They're probably just reading an AI script, but that's helpful too. They at least put some sort of effort into it, and you can at least see and be like, look at these top 10, right? This top 10 list, and pick one thing. And you cannot tell me that you cannot pick any one thing. Even if you don't like any of them, start the one that you think is like the most possible, that works the best with your personality, that is most that works best with you in general. Start that one, even if you think all of them are kind of bad, kind of trash. Because even if you fail that one, right, I would usually recommend to start the one that involves the least capital that you need to put in, but it depends on the person again. But if you don't have to put much into it, that means the only thing that you really have to put in there is your time. And if you were gonna scroll on Instagram anyways during those hours, or watch YouTube videos or whatever, like, might as well do it, and like, you cannot just do things that maintain you where you are. It's similar to the video that I made that was like long-term work versus short-term work or something like that. Like, there are some things you have to do, just to maintain, going to the gym, brushing your teeth, working your 9 to 5. But then there are things that you really are the most important things that are for the future. Because if you don't work on these things for the future, well, you cannot expect that your life is going to change. Or maybe you don't want to change, but most people, would like to be financially free in this case, right? So work on the thing that, even if it seems like something not that interesting, do it. because you never know where it gets you. First of all, you never know if it actually works. Worst case scenario, now you know that it doesn't work, and that's an extremely valuable thing, because when you know what doesn't work, guess what? Now you have one less thing extra to worry about. Your mind could be clogged up into so many business models and so many things, but when you've tried so many of them, now you know exactly, or you know very well how each one works in particular, right? And now you can pick and choose and be like, oh, maybe I kind of want to start this again, but with a different type of approach. Or, oh, I'm never going back to this type of business. Agencies are just not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you cannot just wait for something. Sometimes it will fall from the sky. Sometimes you will meet somebody, or you just randomly get an idea. But for the most part, that doesn't happen. And I would argue that even if you're that kind of person, you should still not do it, because you never know when you have it. I sometimes get ideas, but I rarely get ideas. For the most part, I have to actively look for them. I have to actively, whether that's just watching Alex Hormozy videos, you could, that is a pretty decently active thing, if you're in a business type of environment, you could learn about real estate, even if you don't plan on, you might find a business model within real estate, because there are a bunch of business models within there, right? So, and things overlap, right? Even if you learn something that, okay, in the future might not make so much sense, maybe, I don't know, right? It's not the best business model long term. You would have still learned something, and like I said, you would have learned that you don't know how to, that this business model, what doesn't work. And you also learn some valuable skills, because in every business you learn valuable skills, So yeah, it just doesn't make sense to sit around, even if the idea is not that interesting at the first glance. And guess what? A lot of ideas, the first glance of business idea doesn't really matter, because a lot of them in a lot of them you get huge promises. It's that curve that at first you see it and you're like, oh my god, this is so easy. Then you learn more about it and you're like, oh, this is kind of hard. And then you learn even more about it and you're like, oh, this is kind of impossible. And then you give up, right? Even though if you tried more, you could have actually made it work, But some business models are kind of the opposite. You might be like, oh, I don't even know where to approach this type of thing. It doesn't seem interesting in the beginning. The promise is not that huge either. But then you realize that, actually, it can kind of work, Like, from first glance, it doesn't really matter, because it will be different, Most of them, I would say, look like too good to be true. It's because they are. But there are also some that may look worse at the first glance, but they are actually way easier, I guess, for you specifically, because it's a very specific thing. That's why I said, I'm not saying to pick the first business model that you see in the top 10 to be number one, mainly because a lot of them might not work, if you're, I don't know, a lot of them just can't work, some are just US only or whatever, so pick the one that makes sense for you, but pick one, don't sit too long without doing anything. I would say that after you've maybe failed the business or just quit, well, I guess failed, right? Again, you only really need one business to really work, so it's fine that you failed that one, and you didn't really fail, like I said, because you will learn some valuable skills. But after you fail that one, you've quit that one, you can sit a little bit and think, okay, what did I learn? You know, I'm not saying to next day, okay, I'm going back in. You know, you can do that, but I would take a little, you know, a couple of weeks. I mean, not a couple of weeks, maybe a week or two, you know. I mean, maybe even more if you want to, but don't lie to yourself, right? That you're reflecting on it, when in reality you're just not doing anything, right? Just scrolling, just playing video games. This is not reflecting on your business model. This is just random cheap dopamine, right? But you know, take your time and reflect on it. Yeah, I agree. You should probably do that after you've, you know, exhausted an idea, right? If that idea lasted you more than, you know, a fucking month, you know, like you've had to actually put some time into it and actually work on it every day, you know, right? So if you did that, you can take a little bit of time to reflect on it and, okay, why did I actually quit? What happened? What, you know, what I need to do better and what I learned, because you've learned a lot, you know, and now at least you've learned to clear the mental image. Okay, whenever somebody talks about agencies, I just don't listen, you know, like it's very freeing to be able to know, you know, what they're talking about and know that it's not for you, as opposed to thinking that everything might be for me or everything might not be for me, right? So yeah, also statistically, most businesses fail. Like the more businesses you try, statistically the more chances you have to make it. So, you know, I'd say just go through them, and you know, because you never know, and yeah, and just don't stay too long not doing nothing, not working on the future version of yourself, you know. And that doesn't mean the gym, that doesn't mean reading, that doesn't mean eating good, because I consider these just normal things. You know, the sun, going to sleep early. That is not actually productive. This is just something like brushing your teeth. You're just doing it, but you're not improving it, and you're not regressing on it. You know, you're just doing it to not actually regress, right? But then you also need to do the things that will actually make you progress. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you with that, and yeah, see you next time.